Your peace world is the love king of R&B, Raheem Devon, and this is the Q Chat. Keep it locked right here.
Grab your print or digital copy of Go Queen magazine today. Stay inspired by the incredible stories and features inside. Visit our website to grab your copy now. Hey Queen! In this empowering episode of the Q Chat, we sit down with the incredible Nzinga Imani, actress, plus-size fashion model, and advocate for body positivity. You know her as Angela in Tyler Perry's hit BET series Zatima, but Nzinga is so much more than her on-screen roles. From breaking barriers in the plus-size fashion world to building her own brand, Nzinga shares how she embraces fear, lives by her motto, do it scared, and uses her platform to inspire others. Tune in as she discusses her journey in Hollywood, her advocacy for size inclusivity, and her plans to continue pushing boundaries in fashion and entertainment. This is an episode you don't want to miss.
She's a queen about her business, working hard on a mission. Head high, purpose driven, crown on, never tilted, go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen.
Thank you guys for joining another episode of the Key Chat today. My very gorgeous and beautiful guest is Miss Nzinga Imani, and you guys may be familiar with her. She's currently starring as Angela on the Tyler Perry BET hit series Zatima, and she's also a body positive advocate and a model. And we're going to chop it up about her career. Also, if we can tear up some things with her, we can twist her arm and give us some sneak peeks in the upcoming season of Zatima, and also our favorite topic, self-love. So how are you doing today?
I'm phenomenal. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you on. So I definitely want to get started. So I know currently you're starring in the hit series, but I want to take it back to your roots. So can we get some background on just your upbringing and your childhood, and what gems did you learn along the way to lead to the career that you have now?
Oh, well, if you ask anybody who knew me when I was young, they'll tell you I was a born performer. I've always had a big personality. I've always kind of put on little shows. Even before I knew really what I was doing, I was performing. So my mother put us in dance classes and choir, chorus and stuff like that. I was a big singer. I didn't really know I was going to be an actor, but I always kind of saw my career going in the direction of singing. So I was always performing in praise team or whatever the case may be, always on stage. And I just kind of carried that through. And although being a first generation American, born to Guyanese parents, the creative and the arts weren't really the job career they saw for me. It was more so, we want you to be a well-rounded person, so we'll put you in these different arts. But they definitely saw a more stringent career choice for me. So this was out of the ordinary, but I mean, I think they couldn't have been truly surprised because it's always been within me. It's always been something that we all do together. My sisters sing and perform too. So it was embedded in me very young. And luckily, different people came into my life and kind of pushed that on me and encouraged me to pursue it, whether it be teachers in school or just different people in my life who were like, no, you should take this seriously. And that gave me the confidence to kind of fight against my parents in that avenue and really take it seriously and give it my all. And that has opened up a world of possibilities I could only imagine. So I'm extremely grateful for all the things that my parents put me in, but also the people who weren't in my immediate circle who encouraged me to try something and give it my all and believe that I could do it.
That's awesome. So, and I know you do a lot. So, were your initial thoughts to go into acting, or did you have, because I know you said singing, performing. So, was there one particular field that you wanted to go in first, or did you just know that you're just going to be like a jack of all trades, or a Jill of all trades, I should say?
I learned a little slowly because I didn't originally know about like musical theater, and I wasn't truly considering myself being an actor until I was an adult age. But when I got introduced to acting, it was through my chorus teacher. I was big in chorus, anything singing I was big in. And my chorus teacher was like, hey, Nzinga, we need you for this musical. You need to be in this musical. And I was like, a musical? I don't know, but once I did it, I fell in love, and they couldn't get me off the stage. I was in every musical at the school after that, and then became a part of a musical web series where we were making in college. I was with a bunch of other college students. We made a series on YouTube that was a musical series, and it did crazy numbers, got a lot of attention. Like people were recognizing me at my regular job from this streamable web series, and I think I just kind of build on that momentum and continue to create content, parodies, and things of that nature. Continue to do independent films and things like that until I finally got to break into the big, the big boys and the big industry titans, and got to see my work and allowed me to audition and do the projects that I'm doing now. So it's been a steady climb.
Wow. Now, of course, you're currently playing Angela in Zatima, and fans, of course, love this show and your portrayal of her. So, are there some things that you think connect with yourself and also with Angela's character?
Absolutely. I think Angela is a fierce defender of her friends. And I feel like I'm that person all the time. I'm ride or die. I'm gonna I'm gonna really speak up for people. And sometimes it'll be easier for me to speak up for other people in their situations than it is for me to confront the things that are going on with me. And I think a lot of us have that. Like, you can see what's going wrong there, but when it comes to your own issues in your own life, sometimes you want to act blind or you just don't want to address them. So I feel like some of those things I've seen happen in my life that we see happening between Angela and Fatima. But other than that, not so. Oh, and the devil's advocate. I feel like Angela is always the person who's going to be like, well, see it from this perspective. And I do that a lot, and I get in trouble for it all the time, where it's just like, I just want you to hear my side. But I'm always going to be like, well, did you consider that maybe this happened because of this and this and this? So I can see the similarities there, but also Tyler gives us a lot of room to put our own character into our characters. Like he lets us play, lets us have fun. And during the first season, I read Angela differently than how I've grown to work with her now that I've been given basically the charge to, hey, give her your personality, give her some fun, like play with her. She doesn't have to be exactly as written. She doesn't have to say these exact things. We want her to be fun. We want you to feel comfortable to ad lib and improv. So with those kind of freedoms, it's hard to not see yourself in a lot of what happens. Like things that happen that weren't scripted, you'll watch back and be like, oh, I forgot that happened. And that's all. You can definitely see me when that happens in there.
Now, speaking of course, you mentioned Mr. Tyler Perry. So, working with him, I'm sure is a dream for many actors. So, what have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned from collaborating with him and being on the show Zatima?
Ooh, I mean, I guess to have fun. And he's really good with time management. I'm always amazed to see how we work and how he creates these worlds and these entire seasons with a short amount of time. And we're going, going, going. And it's amazing to see that kind of focus, that kind of drive to be able to write all the different shows that he was writing for as long as he was, and creating movies at the same time and starring in projects. When you see someone being pulled in all those different directions while still maintaining a family life and having a son that they're raising and things like that, it's like, you really can have it all. You really can do it. People are doing it. And these people, you're just as capable as these people if you put your mind and your attention to it. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is just like, do more with your time, do more, like create more. Don't wait. Don't be concerned with what other people have to say about what you're creating, because your voice is important and there are people who need to hear it. So I love working with Tyler Perry. So nobody can say a bad thing to me about anything. I love it.
And I love how you mentioned it's important when you're creative to just not worry about what anybody else is saying. And I think that's something that he really represents because he's creative. He's making so many different things and he's putting a lot of people to work. So that's
Changing
something that
lives.
he deserves, his flowers for that because we're seeing so many people's careers take off. And that's always a good thing in the industry for people of color. So
Absolutely.
speaking of just all the things he's doing, have you ever had the bug to get behind the camera?
Oh, absolutely. I've written, and I plan to do more directing very, very, very soon. But I have been on the back end when it comes to writing. I was a makeup artist behind the scenes for years. So I've always kind of had my hands in any way that I can and dip and dabble. I was an EP on a project that should be coming out soon called Friend Zone. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, there will be definitely more. I think you can't work as closely with someone like Tyler and not get the bug to do more and to create more and to have your voice and your story told, because you see what he's doing in all these different avenues, from shows like All the Queen's Men to, movies. It really just puts into perspective that you can always create. And then we've got social media that is buzzing and that has so many viewers. There's no reason to at least not put something out on social media and have that kind of drive. There's too many avenues and too many different audience members willing and wanting to see your content to not do something more.
Right, I most definitely agree.
Mhm.
Now, I want to dive into some different things. I know you're so gorgeous and beautiful, and I know
Thank
one of
you.
your other platforms is body positivity and advocacy. So, I wanted to ask you about, so you are very big on body positivity and size inclusivity. So, I wanted to ask you, how's your personal experience, and like I said, you're gorgeous as a beautiful plus size woman, influence your career choices? Is that something that you're conscious of? Like, hey, let me represent that television and movies, it isn't always these thin women, no offense to them, but just to let people know, hey, beauty comes in all different sizes. Is that something that drives you with the roles that you choose to play?
Absolutely. I'm always mindful of choosing roles where I can be proud of the character and the character is desired and things like that, because oftentimes I get offered and typecast or they'll try to typecast me differently, where it's a less desirable, it's a sloppy role, or it's things like that, where I know already the way that people perceive people who are plus size. And I don't want to be attached to that. I don't want to further any negative conversation in that. I want to tell true stories and people who deal with ups and downs when it comes to being plus size, because the reality is I only have so much control over how things are presented when it comes to being plus size on camera. I'm an actress, so someone else is writing the stories that I'm acting in, or someone else is directing it to put it across a certain feeling, or whatever the case may be. And I'm always conscious of people who will dislike or just decide to not like a character, or think that she's jealous of another character because of her size. And there's so many million different things that come from all over the place when you're dealing with the prejudice that comes with being plus size. But I'm glad that I can still be an example and be in the forefront and represent. And I get girls come up to me all the time, girls and women, women who are much older than me, who tell me how much it means to them to see me representing being plus size, being out there, not covering up, not hiding, not being shy or timid, but taking control of situations, of scenes. And I'm just glad that I can represent that and that I can be that for somebody, because I know the people who I watched growing up who were that for me and opened up doors and possibilities and made me feel like I can pursue this and I can do this. So I'm grateful to be that for the next generation. Absolutely.
Awesome. And I know it definitely has to touch people and influence them in such a great way, because you're showing, like you said, you're not typecast. You're showing that you can be plus size and be beautiful. You can be plus size and be sexy, and be plus size and be confident. And I think that's something that is extremely important, especially for, like, as you say, older women are looking up to you, even the younger girls, especially them, because they need to tune in and see something that's like, wow, this makes them feel like they matter and that someone is representing them. So I think what you're doing is great, and
Thank
what you stand for. So I wanted to ask you too about the plus strut. So I was reading up some information about you. So can you please tell us all about the plus strut and how did this start?
Sure. Well, shout out to Joy Tribble. She's the creator and founder of the Plus Strut. It is a 5K for plus size women in North America, and it has been going on 5 years strong. We come together. It's in May every year, but the first week of May. Registration is open now, so you guys can check it out. And if you want to see more, it's at theplusstrut.com. But we come together and we complete a 5K. And as plus size women in the world, oftentimes, even when we enter into fitness spaces, we're judged and people have negative things to say, and there's all this negativity that can come when you walk into a gym or you do anything like that and you're surrounded by people who don't look like you. So to come together with a group of people who are all dealing with the same judgment when we step into these spaces, and just to be able to come in, feel comfortable, feel represented, feel that level of community, there's nothing like it. And this will be the 5th year, so I know it'll be the biggest year yet. And it's always so magical. It really is to see these women, I mean, crying, finishing this 5K, coming across this finish line, tears in their eyes. We stay there till every last person has finished, and we support one another. And sometimes you got to push somebody across the finish line, but we're going to make sure that everybody feels seen, represented, and accomplished at the end of the day. And when I tell you, people come from all across the world to come to this event. So I'm so happy that it's been able to continue. It started pre-pandemic and we had to pause for a little bit. So that's why now it's going to be the 5th year, even though it's been in existence a little bit longer than 5 years. But to be able to come back post-pandemic and come back even bigger and stronger has been phenomenal. So now we have to come represent this year, and I'm hoping it'll be an even bigger crowd and a bigger community of people, and we can take this thing and grow it and make it bigger and bigger every year.
Awesome. Now, one thing that you did mention is just about being seen. And I think that's, like you said, that's so important. And I just love what you're doing. So I want to ask you something super important. So, as you mentioned, like what you're doing, your advocacy is to help people, plus size women, feel seen, number one, and let them remind them that they're beautiful and that beauty comes in all different shapes and sizes. So I want to ask you, what's one piece of advice that you give women who may be struggling with their body confidence and they need some reassurance and they need that reminder, like, hey, you are beautiful just the way you are. So, what's a piece of advice you would give someone that's struggling with that confidence?
That's always such a hard one for me because I really feel like you just have to make the decision to love yourself in the space that you're in, to give yourself grace, because we're all working towards something, and some of that can be physical, some of that can be something else. But at the end of the day, you have to love yourself while you're on the journey. There's no reason and no benefit in judging yourself harshly and being mean to yourself, and to getting yourself into the state of depression over the way you look, when you're capable of so many things. You're still beautiful. You're still able to do these things and move through life in a beautiful way. So don't sit there and let yourself hate on yourself or judge yourself. Give yourself grace, the same grace that you extend to other people. Love on yourself. And while you're doing that, you can work on whatever you feel like you need to, but embrace who you are now, because time is fleeting. We only have so much. And there are too many people who are leaving this earth not feeling like they are fulfilled, mainly because they are suppressing their own light because they feel like they're not ready or can't be put in front of people, or who are they to represent. No. Live your life fully to the best of your ability, and everything else will come to pass. I mean, you'll realize how insignificant little things like that are when you're walking in your purpose and you're letting those things not be a hindrance to what you need to accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
Walking in your purpose really truly is a key. And I know that it not to just make things lightly because we all have a cross to bear. Everyone
Mhm.
deals with their own personal, things where you may
Exactly.
not feel when you look in the mirror, you may not see what you really truly are. That's something I
Mhm.
think that everyone may have struggled with once upon a time, whether they're at a better stage in their life now where they can acknowledge and truly love themselves. But everyone I think has had some stage where it's like, okay, I may not really be comprehending that reflection that's coming back to me because we all have our different struggles. So
Yeah.
I definitely do agree with once you walk into your purpose, it really does help transform how you
Mhm.
view yourself, not just
Absolutely.
physically, but on the inside too, so that you can grow and be better and just have peace. And I just really
Mhm.
love that too. So I want to ask you, of course, with everything that you're doing, like you have a lot going on. So I know you also have a fashion line. You've also
Yes.
partnered with Fashion Nova. So can we
Mhm.
hear more about your entrepreneur journey with your
Sure.
fashion line?
So it's funny because I never saw myself as a fashion girl growing up. If my when my sisters discovered that I was like an influencer, they're like, "How?" I'm the least fashionable of my family. They'll definitely say, but just getting ready, feeling cute, taking pictures, posting them. Um, got me the visibility from certain brands where they started to reaching out. Hey, we're interested in sending you clothes. Hey, how much would it be for real, and things like that. So my influencership grew and grew and grew to the point where people really kind of came to me for fashion trends as plus size women, and this allowed me the space and the opportunities to also create designs for other brands like Fashion to Figure. I did a 4-piece collection for them where I was able to take a picture that I drew and they were able to manufacture it and sell it in the stores and sell it out. So this kind of gave me the confidence and just the backing to feel like, okay, I can take this a step further. And that's where Shop Namani was born. Namani is the boutique I created with my older sister, Akila, that encompasses basically my style. We bold prints, things that show you off and not don't make you feel like you have to cover up or hide. It's all about just bold, curvy fits. So I'm really excited. This is probably going into the 3rd year of its existence. And so I've learned so much. The company's grown so much. And I'm interested to see what's next. There's a lot of competition out there with the new brands and with, brands that sell things much very, very cheap where it's hard to compete. But we're holding on strong because I feel like there's still space for boutiques that cater to plus size women, while more and more brands are starting to limit what they supply or shut down their plus size department altogether, despite the fact that majority of women in America are plus size. So it's interesting that despite that, you can't walk into a store and just pick up a plus size gown. It's very difficult to do so. To not have to order something or have something customized is very difficult. So there's definitely a lot of space and room in our fashion industry for more plus size and inclusivity when it comes to these brands having things in store. And I'm hoping that we can help mend that gap.
Yes, definitely. And I know it's a team. You guys, your style is definitely on point for sure. Are there any challenges that you have sometimes on sets or just in general in the drama field with, fashion, finding the right stylist, finding clothes that, like you said, not only fit but flatter? I think that's one thing that's important with fashion too, especially when you're curvy. And I think being a curvy woman of color, whether you're a curvy 8 or a curvy 24, sometimes it's just hard to find the right fit of
Absolutely.
clothes. So are there any challenges that you've come across just saying, hey, like I want to wear something that looks good? So are there any challenges that you've had on set or anything
Absolutely.
like that?
Absolutely. I am a big advocate when it comes to my clothing on sets. I learned pretty early on that that's something that I could not be timid about and that I had to speak up about. And very grateful that the team at TPS is always very willing to accommodate me and very open to my suggestions. If I'm rolling up in there with a suitcase and giving them options, like I like to be solution oriented too. So I'm coming in and I'm, letting them know, hey, the reason why I put that on my no rack is because of this, so that they don't then bring in other pieces that have that same issue or something like that, because I'm just super aware of my body type and what's flattering on me. So it's been an interesting collaboration, but I have a team at TPS that is super helpful, and they customize even things that I bring in that aren't necessarily like tailored to me. They're snatching it in, pinning it where it needs to be, and all of those things. So it's been a great experience at TPS. But I have to say there have been several other situations that I've been put in different scenes and sets where I'm bringing my clothes most of the time, and mainly because I don't really have a choice. It's hard to find people who know how to shop for plus size or who care enough to take the time to put the time and energy into finding things for plus size, because like I said, it's much more difficult. And if that's not your specialty or your lane, you really won't know who to go to. So if you're trying to find something and the project is in 3 days, you're not going to be able to run into a store and find something for a plus size person. You really do have to order most of these things. So it's been difficult because it's hard to relay that message. So oftentimes I just have to come with a solution, which is a lot of the time bringing my own looks. And I'm never opposed to that, but at the same time, as an actor, you want to focus on your craft. You want to focus on what you have going on. So you don't want to have this whole other job in the back of your mind and this whole other responsibility that you have to always be thinking about. But on the other hand, I could be put in something that I'm not comfortable in and that I don't feel like represents the character, and that'll be a much bigger distraction than me just bringing an option that will work. So that's been my solution to the issue in the industry. But there are so many different ways that being plus size and the prejudice against plus size people has shown up, whether that be being nearly dragged out of an award show because they didn't believe that I should have been sitting where I was seated, where my ticket said to sit. Like, security guard physically pushed me back, like, you can't be here, meanwhile letting other people through. And things like that happen, and you know that it's because of a certain thing, but it's hard for people who aren't experiencing the same kind of prejudice to understand. Like, he let you through, you were with me, he let you through. The only difference there is I'm plus size. He didn't believe that I was qualified or should have been sitting where I was supposed to be. And it's heartbreaking when I experience these things because I know the position that I'm in, being known and having being recognizable and things like that, there is privileges that come with that. So I know that there are women who deal with these kinds of prejudice all the time, and there is no leeway. There is no, way around it. It's just what it is, and how they're treated. And it breaks my heart because nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to be seen or pushed aside because of their size, but it's happening. So all I want to do is be a voice to that, bring attention to it, and hope that it doesn't continue to happen, or at least let people know these are things to be aware of so that people aren't constantly experiencing these things.
That's very unfortunate. And
Mm.
but I love still how you still have that confidence, that light about you, because unfortunately, there's people in the world, not everyone's going to see our light, but as long as we know that we have it, that's what can keep us going. So that's one thing that's truly important. I want to ask you too, which kind of falls into the same subject, but what are some of the things that you do to cater to your mental health, because I'm sure there's things that you deal with outside of, the cameras or things, that you have to work on and just to keep you going. Like I said, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, but I know there's things that you're doing to work at building this career, you're breaking barriers. So what are some of the things that you do? And even also, I'm sure you have a very busy schedule sometimes. So just what are some things that you do to cater to your mental health and also your wellness so you can have that balance of self-care mentally and physically?
One of my favorite things to do is I go on these nature walks with my sister and my nephew. My nephew is like the cutest, most intelligent little boy you've ever met. He's 3, but he's going on 30. Like, the conversations that you can have with this 3-year-old, it's incredible. But I think just having that time to really decompress and take a nature walk, talk about anything, put phones away, and just kind of have that family time, that is so important. And I feel like it's so grounding for me. So making time to do things like that. What else? Oh, I love a beach. So I'm oftentimes on trips somewhere where there is sand and a beach. And I feel like taking that time, once again, to be away from your phone, be away from media, be away from people who know you, and just be one with nature, quiet everything, sit in the water and pray. Oh, I love to sit in water and pray, because then I feel like there's a whole different kind of connection when you're fully immersed and nothing else is around you or distracting you, and you can just have that time with the creator. Like, that is my number one, I feel like, self-regulating moment. That's something that I try to make sure that I do pretty often, because I have to say I take a lot of trips. Take a lot of trips. I'm going back to Jamaica next week to do something similar. So I feel like those are my 2 main ways of getting myself centered and keeping myself calm and, just in touch with my family and myself.
And I love the water too. I think the water is just a healing think,
Absolutely.
like I really just really, I think people that are in tune are empaths. I think water is
Mm-hmm.
just something that's super special. So I wanted to
100%.
ask you again too. You have a model that is a model that I saw during research of you that said, "Do it scared." So
Yes.
definitely tell us about that because I definitely think too when you're a trailblazer, you gotta do it scared.
Mm-hmm.
We can't, like they say, your dreams are supposed to frighten you, and just working through fears, just doing something that even we think is impossible sometimes, we have to make it possible. So I want to get some more insight on your motto of do it scared.
Yeah. I mean, you basically said it. Things come at me a lot that I don't necessarily feel qualified to do. However, I won't just outright say that I can't do it because a lot of times it is just fear. It is just I'm trying to think of that word that they use. But there's a term for it, imposter syndrome, where
Yeah.
you feel like, should I be doing this? Is this for me? Like whatever the case may be, that comes up and you have to just squash it because typically when these opportunities come, it's because you're qualified, you're ready. You just have to stop letting yourself doubt yourself. You have to stop getting in your own way and you have to do it. You may not be amazing at it that first time, but you're going to learn and grow. And the reason the opportunity was presented to you is because someone felt like you were going to be great for it. So, I've learned through all of my various career choices, whether that be even for a moment, I was a preschool teacher,
Mhm.
all types of things where when I was put in the position, it was like, how did this happen? How did I get here? But by the end of it, I was excelling in it,
Mm.
teacher of the year and things like that, even though I was there for a short window of time. So things like that where you feel like I don't know how I got here. I don't know if I'm qualified, but they'll turn around and give you the knowledge that you need for the next endeavor or the thing that you really want to do. Or you'll just be surprised at how many qualifications you have based on little things that you do or based on your personality or your God-given gifts. To me, being a preschool teacher wasn't something I learned being taught. It was something that I was blessed with, that God put in me, that I knew how to communicate and teach these children. It came so naturally. It was so easy for me. And I feel like when things like that happen, it just kind of confirms that you're capable of more than you know. And if you do it scared, then you've done it. And then you don't have to be as scared and you can do it again and again and get better and better. So
Love it.
I've loved it so far. It's helped me in every avenue of life because you never know what you're capable of until you try.
Right, that's definitely a fact. You'll never know unless you try. So
Mm-hmm.
I do love that. So I want to ask you one of the main important things of our platform is self love. Self love for Go Queen means you can go be fearless, you can go be bold, you can go queen. Whatever that queen wants to do, you can do it with the proponent of self love. So I want to ask you, what role has self love played in your life, and how do you define self love personally?
I think it's a constant. It's shifting all the time because I'm learning the new ways to love myself. I'm learning what I'm in need of and the way to cater to myself. So it's ever growing, and I think it's just being in tune with yourself and learning what you
Mm.
need at that time. Whether it's quiet, I love stillness. I love for there to be no music, no nothing, to tap out and just really meditate. That is important. So little things like that, learning about what your body needs and taking the time to listen and cater to it. Figuring out, getting in tune with yourself and figuring out what you need in that time, whether it's stillness, whether it's to push yourself harder, whether it's, time with family or, whatever the case may be, figuring out and listening to yourself and just, making the time to cater to yourself and really pour back into yourself because we do so much especially when you're in the limelight. I feel like I'm always on. I feel like whenever I'm around other people, I know that I'm being watched. I know that things that I say or do will not just be here. They'll, it'll go with someone or someone will kind of take it or, reconstruct the story and tell it to a friend. You just never feel like you can really just relax. You're always on. So taking that time to be alone and unwatched, and I'm a big proponent of that.
Love it. Love it. This has been an amazing conversation. Before we end everything, can you leave us with a positive affirmation for our listeners?
Positive affirmation. I felt like I
You
should have
can do
had one in the
anything, and
chamber
it
ready
doesn't
to
have to be
go.
deep. And it doesn't have to be deep, but just anything that's on your heart.
Okay. Huh. I mean, I simple enough to just tie back into doing it scared, but you're capable of everything. You're capable of anything. Yeah.
Love it. I
I'll
love
leave
it.
it there.
I love it. This has been a great conversation. Before we do go away, can you tell everyone how they can follow you on social media and what can they expect next? Is there anything else on the books that we should be looking out for?
All right. Well, you guys can follow me at Nzinga Imani. That's Nzinga Imani. And you can follow my boutique at Shop Namani. That's ShopNimani. And what's next on the books? Well, we have Friend Zone coming out. I will tell you more once I know more about where that will be. But that's the feature film that I'm in that I was also a EP for. So look out for that. Right now, Zatima is on BET Plus. The third season is streaming now. Episodes 5 and 6 just were released today. So you guys check that out. It's gonna be great. And yeah, that's what's going on here.
Awesome. So you guys heard it. Please make sure you follow Nzinga Imani. And Nzinga is so beautiful. So just make sure that you follow her and support her. And I hope you guys take away several things from this interview. But one of the main things that she mentioned, do it scared. We can't expect everything to be the way we want them to. But as we mentioned in this conversation, you'll never know unless you try. And just putting in that effort into your dream. You deserve a gold star just for that. You owe it to yourself to try. You don't have to be the superstar, but just try. There's so many things that people have aspirations, they have dreams, they have visions that are just sitting on the shelf because they're too scared to go ahead and do it. They're too concerned on what people think. What if it doesn't work out? Throw all of that out the window and do it scared, but most importantly, do it right now. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Q Chat. You can catch this episode and more, www.goqueen.com. Make sure you guys be safe, do it scared, and go love yourself.
She's a queen about her business, working hard.